What's going on, boys and girls? Arsenal 2, Everton 0. And more importantly, West Ham 1, Manchester City 1. Arsenal sit 9 points clear at the top of the Premier League, and it feels good. It feels really good. Particularly when I think about how dreadful 88 out of the 98 minutes that game against Everton was. For any Arsenal fan that lives in Australia and has to watch these Arsenal games at all sorts of horrendous times throughout the night, I just want to say I feel your pain. I've been following Arsenal since 96, 97. So that's quite a long time. And I'd say out of those 25 plus years, probably 15 of those have been spent living in Australia. And for most of those times, I've been okay with it because the football's been of a level whereby, at the very least, even though we weren't necessarily winning leagues or titles and we weren't winning every game, most of the games were enjoyable. There was something going on. Whereas this season has been a slog. Getting up at 2 a.m., getting up at 4 a.m. like this morning to watch that type of football, it's not easy. And you're sitting there the whole time wondering, what am I actually doing here? Why am I wasting valuable sleep to watch this? That was another tepid performance from Arsenal. It's really hard. I love football. I love watching football, but I've never played it like at a decent level. So I will never sit here and proclaim to be some kind of tactician or someone who understands tactics or mindset in terms of how football games are won and lost and the way teams approach games. But the one thing that I'm finding incredibly frustrating at the moment is I watch Arsenal play, and I get that teams are setting up to be very defensively sound against us. They're setting up in a way in which it's kind of like, all right, Arsenal, you break us down and we'll try and do our best on kind of getting you when we can. This Everton game, it wasn't that. It was just another one of those games where we had possession, we kept the ball well, but we're just not doing anything with that ball. Like the amount of times Saliba, Gabriel, Zubamendi, Rice are just passing it to each other in this kind of square shape kind of passing game. It's just infuriating. Like there's no one in that midfield wanting to be brave enough to demand the ball, turn and go forward and find a forward pass. You know, Declan Rice, the amount of times he passed the ball backwards today was just a joke. Zubamendi doesn't seem to do anything other than pass it backwards or sideways. Eze doesn't seem to want to ask for the ball or do anything dangerous with it. And then you've got Saka and Madueke in this case for this game out on the touchline. And the minute they get the ball, they've got 2 or 3 Everton players on them, which means that their only option is to stop and pass it to a supportive Timber, Saliba, or on Madueke's side, a Calafiori or a Declan Rice. And the problem with that is that the 2-3 Everton players, they mark out the danger man in Saka or Madueke out of the game, and they know that the only option they've got is to pass it to basically a defender who isn't really going to kind of cause them any damage going forward either. So, again, as I said, I'm not a tactics person, but I just look at the way we play at the moment, and despite having so much possession, we just don't seem to cause any real threat or danger to the opposition, whereas every time Everton managed to actually get on the ball, they seem to cause us exactly what we're trying to do to them, which is they create a chance, they create panic, they look lively. And I'm just like, how does that work? How did we have all the possession and look so ineffective, and yet Everton can just have the ball for literally 3 minutes and just all of a sudden out of nowhere create this great chance and nearly score? And that seems to be the way our season seems to play out. We have the ball, we do nothing with it, The other team gets the ball, and all of a sudden they just cut through us, create a chance, and nearly score. And that seems to be the way our games seem to unfold. Now, again, I can focus on the positives here. We got the win, you know. But the reality is we had to bring on a 16-year-old to do what our established players couldn't do for 88 minutes. I thought Saliba was immense. I thought Raya looked a bit shaky at times again. There was a couple of moments where, you know, he could have communicated better with his defenders and kind of made a situation less nervy than it needed to be. There were a couple of balls in the air where he came out to kind of clear them with a punch and he missed them. You know, but in saying that, he made some great saves as well. You know, as I said, Everton, despite having hardly any of the ball really throughout the whole match, they were the ones who created the best chances in the game. So Raya definitely had some great saves in this match. I thought Gabriel looked a bit... There was a couple of moments with Gabriel where he just boots the ball out of play under not really much pressure. It's kind of League Two stuff, and that just doesn't help us kind of maintain any sort of momentum either. Timber looked lively before he went off. I thought Calafiori also looked quite lively. I thought Zubamendi was non-effective. I mean, again, I don't see why we need 2 6s. And I know Declan Rice has kind of been transformed into an 8, but I don't think... I just don't think Declan Rice is an 8. I don't think he's an 8 for Arsenal Football Club in the sense that I think we should have a much more dangerous player in the 8 role than Declan Rice. For me, Declan Rice is a 6. He should be the 6. He's the one who cleans up all the danger, and he can keep things ticking over. For me, he should be the 6, and we should have a more creative 8, a more robust 8. But yeah, we don't need 2 6s against Everton at home when we're trying to win the game. I thought Eze, look, he started to get on the ball more in the second half, and he had a couple of good shots, but again, I want more from him. I want more. I thought Saka tried. I mean, but I've got, if I'm being really honest, you know, I wouldn't say that it was a much better performance than the one against Leverkusen, which is concerning. I thought Madueke on the left was bang average. When he flicked over to the right-hand side before the end of the first half, he looked a bit more lively. Sorry, after the second half, before he came off. But, you know, we thought we'd sign Madueke to be that left-wing answer, and he's played pretty much right-wing all season as a backup to Saka, and he doesn't look great on the left. So that is what it is. I thought Havertz was really poor today. There was a moment in the first half where he's put through in goal, and he goes down, and look, I've got to say, I can't believe VAR didn't take a closer look at that. The Everton player definitely slides his foot down Havertz's left leg. There is definite contact there. But at the same time, I hate the mentality of players like that, whereby they get in that position. Havertz should be thinking, right, I'm going to score a goal here, not I felt a touch, I'm going to go down and try and win a penalty. If he stays on his feet there, he at the very least gets the shots away and potentially scores. So that was frustrating. I thought he was pretty average. There was a couple of link-up moments, but nothing great. And then the second half just comes along, and again, you know, we huffed and we puffed, but we really didn't do anything. And it was only once Dowman and Gyökeres came on, whereby you started to kind of sense something might happen. And you know, look, fair play to Dowman, 16 years old. I think we underestimate the enormity of that. For a 16-year-old to be able to come in that sort of pressured environment and say, hang on a minute, people, get on my shoulders, I'll do this for us. I've been saying all season we need an attacking player to step up and carry this team forward and go, right, get on my shoulders, lads, I'll take us to the promised land. I didn't expect it would be 16-year-old Max Dowman, but at this point I really don't care. So unbelievable crossing from Dowman. Pickford gets his line wrong, goes over Pickford. Nkapie bounces off his kind of knee, hip, falls perfectly to Gyökeres, and he's there to tap it in, and we go 1-0 up with literally a minute of normal time to go. The crowd goes nuts, and it's just, at that point, it's just pure relief. And then obviously the second goal is just, it's just one of those moments that you'll remember as an Arsenal fan. You know, it's that kind of fairy tale stuff. Cross comes in from Everton, you're sitting there going, are they actually going to get an equaliser with the last kick of the game? And instead Max Dowman gets gets the ball, runs the length of the field, and taps it in to become the youngest ever Premier League goal scorer. And it was just an incredible moment that he won't forget. A lot of Arsenal fans won't forget. And given the Man City result, this could be the weekend that Arsenal secured the Premier League, which is mental to me because we've just played such strange football this season. As I said, I've watched every single Arsenal game this season, and I'm really trying to. I can probably use one hand to pick out games where I'm like, that's been a top performance. Bayern Munich at home, Aston Villa at home, Tottenham at home. I don't think the Tottenham away result was a performance. Outside of that, I'm struggling to think. So to think that we're going to win the Premier League this season despite kind of playing such average football is weird, but at this point I will take it. The thing that concerns me, and again, this is where I'm maybe going to be seen as the kind of grumpy Arsenal fan, the way we are playing right now, that won't win us much more than the Premier League. This type of approach to games, the lack of quality that we are showing at the moment, particularly going forward, that won't win us the Champions League. It just won't. To score right now for Arsenal is such a struggle. None of our attacking players are stepping up to the plate. There's no one in that attacking forward line that is saying, right, I've got this. I'm going to score the goals. I'm going to create the chances. We just don't have anyone doing that at the moment. So I just don't see in the big Champions League games how we're going to be able to get over the line. And that's a shame because I think Arsenal are on course for a really special season this year. We're in all 4 competitions. But I think the truth is that we are kind of limping towards the finish line instead of striving towards it. And so look, at the end of the day, if we just walk away with a Premier League title after 20 plus years, I will take that. But I would love to see this Arsenal team click into a little bit more free-flowing football and just really try and create a monumental, magical moment in Arsenal Football Club's history, in our lives, by winning more than just the Premier League. Yes, we might be able to fluke a Carabao Cup final against Man City. That's a one-off game. Anything can happen. But the way we're playing at the moment, it doesn't fill me with confidence going into FA Cup semi-finals, finals, Champions League games against the elite. A team like Bayern Munich, a team like Paris Saint-Germain, a team like potentially even Barcelona, they get the better of us over 2 games, I think, with the way we're playing at the moment. I don't think we can rely on our defence to get over those sorts of teams. So, like I said, I think at this point, it's just about the win. But at the same time, that mentality is more for the Premier League. The just win mentality, just by any means necessary, will get us over the line in the Premier League, particularly with the way City are kind of performing right now. But if we want to do something really, really special, this team is going to have to start playing better football. And we're going to have to start looking like more of a threat going forward. Because I think opposition teams now are starting to kind of approach these Arsenal games with this mindset of, as long as we're fairly solid, there's a good chance that we can keep them from not scoring. And who knows what we could do with a counter-attack, or all we need is one chance to maybe nick a goal and create problems for Arsenal. So, yeah, like I said, positives are we got the win, we got the job done, we did what champions did, we found a way to win despite not playing great. And obviously Man City have slipped up again, and we now sit 9 points at top of the Premier League with a game in hand. With City have a game in hand, but that means we're 6 points clear for sure, no matter what City do with that game in hand. So a massive, massive weekend. And yeah, on to the next.